So my name is Brooke Stanislawski. I'm in my fourth year of my PhD at Utah. I work in Dr. Mark Koloff's lab, which is the wind energy and turbulence lab, but I actually work on solar. I got my undergrad in mechanical engineering at Northwestern University near Chicago, and my current research is trying to improve the performance of solar panels through a heat transfer and fluid mechanics lens using numerical simulations.
Are you a master's or PhD student?
PhD. I came in master's and then switched after the first year and a half. So I'm PhD.
Great. Sophia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sophia Nielsen. I'm a first year PhD student. I did my undergraduate in mechanical engineering at Olin, which is in Massachusetts. I currently work in Bart Raymaker's lab, which is tribology and precision engineering lab. And so my research is using ultrasonic waves to align particles for fused deposition modeling, 3D printing.
Cool. And do each of you want to say kind of why you chose the University of Utah and something that you like about Utah or Salt Lake or the University of Utah? Or all of the above?
Yeah, sure. When I was applying to grad school, I was applying with my now partner, now husband. And so we were both looking for a city with outdoors opportunities, like most people coming to Salt Lake, or like some people coming to Salt Lake. A city near the mountains that had job opportunities for one of us if we didn't both graduate at the same time. And Salt Lake is, so we were mostly looking in the West. My family lives in California and we moved from the East Coast. So I'm a lot closer to my family now than I was. And Salt Lake was the only city within 30 minutes of the mountains with skiing, hiking, climbing, everything that Salt Lake has to offer. And also had the research opportunities that we were looking for, primarily in renewable energy and fluid mechanics. So I would have to say that access to the mountains is my favorite thing about Salt Lake.
Thank you. Sophia?
Yeah, I grew up in Utah, so I was kind of in on the secret that it has a pretty good engineering department. Not one that you always hear about, but definitely a very good one. And so that's one of the reasons I applied here and ended up going here. And I absolutely love, especially since spending time in Massachusetts, I love coming back, and it's absolutely beautiful here. And the skiing is great. That's probably one of my favorite parts about being here, is being so close to the mountains to ski.
Great. What advice, Brooke, do you have for students applying to graduate school or for being a successful grad student?
I hopped on a little early, and it sounds like this might be a repeat on what a lot of the faculty have said, but I would emphasize emailing professors. So my background is I went to undergrad and then I worked in industry for 4 years for an energy company before applying to grad school. And emailing professors is not something I knew was a requirement early on. And so I would definitely encourage you to email professors whose interest align with yours, but then also ask them to be connected to their students. And most will just do it automatically, but make sure you do that, and then have frank conversations with the students of that advisor to understand what it might be like to work in that lab. Because the research topic has to motivate you, but then also I have found that it's very important for the work-life balance, and the hours and the expectations of the lab will also be an important factor in your happiness and success throughout grad school. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Sophia, any advice on that?
I'm sure most of my advice will probably be applying, but definitely one of the things I learned most through going through the process is that you don't necessarily have to have one area of research that you're all in on, if that makes sense. You can talk to possible faculty advisors and say, you know what, these are the things that motivate me. These are maybe the applications. Applications excite me, not necessarily specific things, or maybe something very specific excites you, and so you should go with that. But you don't have to arbitrarily choose something to look good to professors, if that makes sense.
Is there anything that either of you appreciate that's available at the University of Utah, like a facility or a group or something along those lines?
Yeah, I've been recently looking at, there's a lot of counseling resources, so I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's one specific clinic where University of Utah graduate students act as therapists, that you can get a therapist at a very low rate, and it's been just great to work with them. Had a couple sessions so far, and just in general, there's a lot of those sort of resources, mental health resources. There's also a one second, let me remember it. Building a Community of Women in STEM support group, which has also been great. I think that's through the Counseling Center.
Great. Can you think of anything, Brooke? I made that one up on the fly.
Yeah. I was also going to say the Counseling Center. Mental health is an important issue for grad students and everyone in general, but not something I looked into. Counseling wasn't something I looked into until I joined grad school. So I think it's really important that they have accessible resources. And then the second group is, there's a student group called Inclusive Earth that is based in the CMES, so College of Mines and Earth Sciences. But they do a lot of inclusivity and equity work and building community for grad students as well. And we're trying to bring more engineering students into those events as well. But they do a lot of work focusing on making sure people feel included and offering additional mental health resources. So I would plug them as well.
Okay. Someone in the chat pointed out that we're being a little bit research focused. Can you talk a little bit about the coursework that you've taken? It has a good variety, teaching, how that's been for you? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I can go first. The courses that I've taken a lot of the, there are 2 courses that they recommend for the 2 qualifying exams that most of my lab group takes. So that's intermediate heat transfer and intermediate fluid mechanics. And so those are very good preparation courses for the qualifying exam. Then the course that I think should be mandatory for all grad students, because it is so helpful, is the writing. So it's engineering, writing, and communications course. And the professor, you should have an idea of what you want to write before you take it. But if you want to write a paper or your proposal or your dissertation or thesis, if you take that class, the professor walks through all the steps needed to write that piece of work, and has milestones throughout. So I took it to make sure I would be able to defend my proposal in the spring, and it kept me on schedule and forced me to edit it. Also, I could get peer edits and edits from the professor. And so it was really helpful in learning how to write, which is a huge skill for grad students that I don't think is outwardly taught in a lot of courses. So I think I was also involved with the GCSE. They offered a fellowship. I believe it's still going on. GCSE is the Global Change and Sustainability Center at University of Utah. And they have a seminar course that is really helpful for learning about interdisciplinary work and connecting with grad students in other departments, as well as professors and speakers that they bring onto campus in topics related to energy and renewable energy and sustainability. So yeah, those are the 3 I would talk about.
Okay,
I don't know if I'm the best person to talk much about it, because I've only taken half of 3 classes so far, but I have heard from my lab great things about that writing course. And I've also enjoyed the classes I've taken so far. Additive manufacturing, which is a mechanical engineering one, and that one super fun. And then 2 others that aren't specifically in the department, Introduction to Optimization, which is a math one, and also Programming for Engineers, which is in the computer science department. And both have been super helpful so far. And yeah, they've been good classes.
Awesome.